Hi friends, come and harvest some broad beans with me while we chat about what you can sow and plant in cool regions of Australia in December. Now, December and January are really the last 2 months that we can plant certain vegetables in the garden and have enough time to get a harvest. So here in central Victoria, our first frost date is somewhere in mid-April. So we like to have most things harvested by the first week of April. So if you have a look at the date of your first frost, then you'll be able to count backwards and tell when the last date you can plant certain things in your garden will be. Now, sowing is a different story as well. You'll need to add more days to your tally if you're sowing seeds still. There are certain things that I stop sowing at this time of year, but that doesn't mean that you can't experiment with what you want to sow and see whether it works. I'm going to be experimenting with a few things. I am yet to plant any loofah seeds in my garden, and I also had some gourds, but my chickens just got into my garden and they have pretty much pulled all of those seedlings out. So I'm going to be planting more of those seeds too to see whether I can get a harvest this late in the day. So let's talk about those things that you can sow right now in December. So there are some beans that you can get into the ground. I'm going to be planting both climbing and bush beans. You can also plant some brassicas. So some brassicas that are great right now are broccoli, cabbage. You could try some cauliflower. I have seen some all year cauliflower seeds out there. The seed collection has some of those. You can also try to grow your Brussels sprouts now. I haven't done this before, but I have heard of some people succeeding with growing their Brussels sprouts at this time of year. You can also get kale into your seed raising trays, and you could also sprinkle some in the garden. And of course, kohlrabi. You can plant kohlrabi at this time of year as well. All year round, we can be planting lettuces, and now is a great time to succession grow your lettuces. If you're not harvesting them fast enough, they will bolt and go to seed, like a lot of the Asian greens and other leafy greens will do as well. So succession planting them means that you'll have a longer crop for a longer amount of time. So you can plant Asian greens like bok choy or Chinese cabbage. These things are going to go really well, but again, keep the water up to them like you would all of your greens, because they will go and shoot to seed if they get under stress. Root vegetables you can plant now are turnips and swedes, beetroots, spring onions. Carrots are one that I am staying on top of succession sowing this year, and I'm really excited about that. You can also grow fennel and radishes as well. Now, you can still plant some of the exciting summer vegetables as seed. Zucchinis and cucumbers, they tend to grow really rapidly, so you can still get some zucchini and cucumber seeds into your trays or into the ground. As I mentioned before, I'm going to be experimenting with some gourds and some loofahs, and I'm also probably going to experiment with some ginger, but that's a probably. You can also have a go with corn and celery as well at this time of year. Now for some things that I tend to not plant from seed anymore. I tend to just put plants in the ground, and I've generally sown these earlier in the season. So things like tomatoes, chilies, capsicums, and eggplants, and pumpkins. I've generally got these all going by now. But if you still haven't grown them from seed, have a go. See how you go and experiment. Plant 1 or 2 seeds of pumpkins and see what happens. With tomatoes as well, you could plant some cherry tomato seeds. Cherry tomatoes tend to develop faster, and of course they're small, so they don't have to grow really massive before they start to ripen. And of course you can purchase these from nurseries if you just haven't had the opportunity to start growing them from seed. Things that take longer, like pumpkins and watermelons and rock melons. If you haven't got these going yet, then I recommend getting some seedlings from your local nursery, or you can just wait till next year if you can bear to wait. If you have got a greenhouse or you have got a garden that has some covering, or you're planning to put frost cloth on them later in the autumn season, then perhaps you can give these a go. But I wouldn't put them in any later than December. Some people have microclimates as well. I know that we are in a very open space here. So from my experience, these things don't grow very well past the second week of April. And I have a very short window to grow things if I'm starting them now or in January. Plus, we're out in the elements. It's really, really hot out here on a summer's day. So I don't have any protection for my little tiny seedlings. And that's another reason why I prefer to get them going earlier. Do be wary when you are buying seedlings from nurseries though. Last year, I purchased a whole heap of tomatoes because I lost all my tomatoes to a late frost. And I actually ended up with fruit fly in my garden for the first time ever in 10 years. There's certain bugs that can travel in the soil and also in the compost that you're buying. So be careful what you're purchasing because you might introduce something. So you can go mad on your carrot seeds and your beetroots and your lettuces as well. Just keep succession planting these items. They are gonna do really well in this weather. As long as you're keeping the soil damp enough for those seeds to germinate, you'll be doing well. If you haven't already started growing a lot of your herbs, now's a great time to get some more herbs in the garden. I would recommend buying plants for a lot of them, but you can still grow a lot of them from seed. You can still get your parsley and your basil going from seed, but I would shy away from planting things like coriander. That tends to go to seed quite quickly in the warm weather. It is best planted in autumn going into winter and spring. You can get the best crops from overwintering your coriander. As always, if there is something different that you are planning on sowing or planting this month, please let us know in the comments below. And if there is anything that I have missed, please let me know down below as well. I hope that your plants grow really strong and you get an amazing harvest this growing season. Thank you so much for watching, my friends, and I will see you in the next video in my garden.